What is your full name?
My full name is Rajab Bahadur.
I'm going to ask you some questions about friends. Do you have a best friend?
Well, okay, and the first thing I should mention is that I'm a cheerful person, and so that I have lots of friends in my life. For instance, my best friend's name is Adhambek. He was born in 2005 years, and we study mm, in the same school, and we often go to some places to.
How often do you meet with your friends?
Well, okay, to tell the truth, it really depends on my free time, and I am a student, and I am so busy in the weekdays, so that in the weekends I meet some of my friends and go to somewhere, and usually we go to the amusement park and the cinema.
How do you spend your time with them?
Well, okay, it's a really interesting question for me because I am the cheerful person, and I have lots of friends, and I spend my time with them a lot. For instance, we always get together to watch some films and go to some cafes or restaurants.
Is it important to have a best friend? Why?
Well, in my opinion, it's really important having a best friend in our lives because the close friends always helps us to solve our problems, and uh, she or he can get advice for us to do some things in our lives.
Let's speak about advertisements. Do you like watching advertisements?
Well, okay, to tell the truth, I'm really interested in watching advertisements because get I can get a lot of informations from advertisements, so that I watch a lot advertisements. For instance, yesterday I watched the advertisements which about the mm, new park in our city.
Will you buy something because of an advertisement?
Okay, it's a really interesting question for me because I watch the advertisements a lot, and sometimes I can buy some new headphones and watches because of advertisements. And last month I bought a new watch from the.
Do you like funny or serious advertisements?
Okay, to tell the truth, I like the serious advertisements because the funny advertisements always bothers me, and it can distract me from the things that I really interested, so that I always watch the serious advertisements in my free times.
Where do you usually watch ads?
Okay, to tell the truth, I always watch ads in my house, and sometimes I can watch the advertisements in everywhere with my mobile phone, and especially I watch advertisements in my house because in my house I have lots of free time.
Let's move to part 2. In this part, you will be given a topic to talk about. You have 1 minute to prepare to talk about the topic. After that, you should talk 1 or 2 minutes about the topic. Describe a successful business that you know about. You should say what business it is, what this business does, how you know about this business, and explain why you think this business is successful.
Okay, then I guess I could start off by answering what business it is, and I think I will have to choose the building company. And the first thing I should mention is that nowadays people tend to start their own businesses rather than working for a company, because I think running our own business is more important and gives us more profits and benefits than working for a company or government. And going on to my next point, which is what the business does. And I would like to say that the business builds a lot of buildings, for example, schools and skyscrapers. And every year it sells a lot of skyscrapers in the city centers. And progressing to subject of how you know about this business, and I would like to adhere that I know this business. I have known this business from my childhood, because from these times I have been seeing these advertisements in the TV and my mobile phone, and I know the leader of this company, and the leader of the building company is Murat Nazarov. And finally, then if there is time, I could tell you the last question of why I think this business is successful. And I would like to say that the business is really successful because it has a lot of billion of buildings in our country.
I'm going to ask you a few questions about business. What kind of family businesses are common in your country?
Well, okay, as I mentioned about these days, people tend to start their own businesses. Especially family businesses are really common in our country. For instance, people can start their small cafe in their house or the flat, and it's really common in our country.
Why do people want to do family business?
Well, okay, it's a really interesting question for me, because in our levels, especially fathers and mothers work for a company or the government, and always the kids and grandparents have a lot of time, and they think it's really useful to start the small businesses.
Do you think small businesses will develop or struggle in the future?
Okay, to tell the truth, small businesses can really develop in the future, because it really depends on the business's leader, because if the leader can do a lot of things to develop his business, it can really develop in the near future.
Now, I would like to give you some more questions about working for a company. What are the good things about working for a big company?
Okay, there are lots of good things working for a big company, because it can give us more profit and salary, because in the big companies can more benefits rather than the small companies, and there are lots of workplaces in the big companies.
Why do many young adults keep changing their jobs?
Okay, it's a really interesting question for me. And nowadays, adults keep changing their jobs because they know about they know what job can more benefits, and so they don't change their jobs frequently.
It is popular to start working after graduating school in your country?
Well, okay, I think absolutely not, because in our country, uh, students uh, go to the exam to enter the university after graduating school rather than working some years. And after graduating the universities, they can get a job.